Okay, welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's next Super Stock live stream, February 24th. We have a brand new company to introduce to you today, DeepMarkit, MKTDF over the counter, MKT on the TSX. And for those of you who are new to our program, our goal at Wall Street Reporter's next Super Stock is to bring you those stocks which have that 10x to 100x upside potential. So these are companies going after massive multi-billion-dollar market opportunities. They're at a key inflection point right now, and there are multiple catalysts built in which can ignite a massive increase in shareholder value. And in the last 20 months, we've had already 8 stocks that have increased between 1,100% and 5,000% based on this formula. And today we're going to find out if DeepMarkit is going to be that next company to join this pantheon of 10 baggers. So I'm going to bring in Ranjit, the CEO, and Adrian. He's the blockchain developer for DeepMarkit. So these guys are going to do a quick presentation, and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to open up for questions. And so, guys, please ask your questions, and then decide for yourself if DeepMarkit is going to be that next 10 bagger. So with that said, guys, welcome.
Thank you, Jack. It's great to be here.
Ranjit, welcome. Adrian, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Yes, fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to your presentation. I'm going to disappear from the screen, and then you guys give the quick thing, and I'll come back in a few minutes for the Q&A.
Sounds good.
Sounds okay. Here we go. Let me just get this here.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. I guess the most important fact about DeepMarkit today is we started trading yesterday. Yesterday was our first day of trading after approximately 6 months of the filings and logistics with the various stock exchanges. We trade on the Canadian Stock Exchange, the OTC under MKTDF, and soon we'll be trading in Germany. The usual disclaimers. So what is DeepMarkit trying to do? DeepMarkit and its subsidiaries are trying to be the go-to carbon neutral tech platform focusing on new generation, next generation ESG tools. DeepMarkit is the public company. Our transaction, our asset, and our business is First Carbon Corp. We own First Carbon Corp 100%, and right underneath First Carbon Corp is Mint Carbon. That is the platform. That's where everything happens. First Carbon operates in the tokenization vertical of the blockchain, and Mint Carbon is the software as a service web-based platform which our clients will go to and mint their tokens. I'm the CEO. Alex Parkin is our corporate secretary. I think everybody who does a presentation says they have the most fantastic team, and I think we do as well. So carbon credits. I'm not sure how much you've seen or heard in the press lately, but the next few slides will show that it is the largest emerging class. It's in the $1 trillion category. There's a global push to a net zero by 2050. First Carbon is offering carbon credit holders an on-ramp to the blockchain via our proprietary platform that leverages the power of non-fungible tokens, NFTs, to unlock liquidity, security, and flexibility. So what we're trying to do is, if you're a company with a carbon credit, and we'll get into this more later, where you come to us, you come to our platform, where we make it easy for carbon offset holders to monetize their credits by minting them into secure, customizable NFTs on the low emission Ethereum-powered Polygon blockchain. Then they can put them into the liquid sales global market 24/7, 365. Our team is Mo Yang, Derek, Perry, Eddie, Adrian. I encourage everybody to visit www.deepmarkit.com. From there, you can get into the First Carbon websites, the minting platform, and learn a lot more about what we're doing. So now we're going to sort of get into this sector. This is all sector specific. It's an emerging class. There's increased pressure globally to put environmental and social governance policies in place. The total value of the global carbon offset market grew 5 times in 2017. It hit a record 261 billion in 2020, and that growth is forecast to increase. And the supporting press, you can download our presentation at our website, but it's $1 trillion market we're operating in. Bloomberg, Bank of America, BlackRock, Morgan Stanley, Credit Suisse, Fortune, they're all forecasting carbon credits as the large emerging class. So we're definitely in the right place doing the right thing. The price for carbon credits, the demand for carbon credits. The demand for voluntary credits is set to explode. Everybody thinks that, we think that. The current price for carbon credit is about $15 US. That is actually forecast to increase. The voluntary market surpassed 1 billion in 2021. I mentioned this. If you look at this chart graph, you can see that it looks like it's ready for further growth, and the analysts in this space, ourselves and our partners, firmly believe this as well.
So I'll talk a little bit about the problem and the solution. My name is Adrian Haldenby. I'm one of the developers on the project, data scientist by trade. I focus more on the development on the blockchain side and data retrieval and inference of blockchain data. So yeah, the carbon market, particularly the voluntary carbon market, is generally underpinned by some pretty antiquated solutions. It's very tough to access these markets. It's hard to know exactly what you're buying. If you do want to get into this market, then most of the time it's a retirement only. So it's hard for somebody to purchase and hold one of these voluntary credits themselves. There's also a bit of a lack of secondary markets, or a lack of accessibility in secondary markets. There are markets out there, but the barriers to entry are quite high. A lot of the times you have to deal with brokers if you want to get access to it, which means markups. And you need to be on the registries in order to take delivery of them. So, you know, regular people, it's very tough for them to get access or get exposure to this sort of thing. So the intention of our system is to create something that's fully on chain. You can take your credits on chain. We bring the metadata with it because of the type of device that we use, the NFT, and it has the effect of also creating a open database, on-chain database for the different projects, and a spot for projects to showcase a little bit more information about themselves. So the platform is mintcarbon.io. It lets you take your credits from one of the major registries, work with us to get those transferred over to somewhere where they can be minted onto the blockchain. The blockchain in this case, we're using Polygon, which we're using it because, one, it's low emission. We certainly don't want a proof of stake blockchain, or sorry, a proof of work blockchain that is itself fairly energy intensive. Oh, sorry, I think I've got an alarm. Which is itself fairly energy intensive to be the platform where we take these carbon credits, whose intention is to, of course, internalize the effects of carbon emissions publicly available. So we allow people to onboard the credits onto the Polygon network, where they can consume them or burn them. They can keep them, and also we offer a couple of other utilities on top. The other nice feature about the NFTs is there's generally a royalty system attached to it. So on the exchanges for NFTs, it's sort of common practice for there to be a fee associated with any of the transactions. So individuals or companies who are looking to onboard their projects, take their carbon credits onto the blockchain, will get a recurring 10% royalty, some of which is shared with First Carbon, but it provides an ongoing revenue source for projects so that they can fund future projects.
Thanks, Adrian. You can definitely explain that better than I can. We're in a unique situation that the carbon credit space sector is new. There's not that many players. Most of the players out there are out there trying to accumulate credits. We're one of the only companies out there which has a platform like ours, which these people can come and use our platform to monetize the credits they've accumulated. Sector comparables out there, publicly traded companies, Carbon Streaming was first to market. They have a $470 million, $1 million market cap. Acre Carbon Capture, Abex Technologies, they haven't been around for that long. Abex has not been around for long. Carbon Streaming has not been around for long. So first in space is definitely getting awarded. And if you narrow it down even further, first in space, in our space, which is the minting platform, we are the only publicly traded company doing this the way we're doing it. So early mover advantage, definitely. Well, investment summary. Well, right sector, right time. Global carbon markets are surging. The voluntary carbon markets across the $1 billion valuation. We have what we need to have, which is that institutional stamp of approval in the sector from Credit Suisse, Morgan Stanley, and whatnot. And the voluntary carbon markets are fragmented, opaque, restricting supply. They demand innovation. First Carbon, DeepMarkit via First Carbon will enable turnkey tokenization of carbon credits, thereby providing global investors exposure to a rapidly growing asset class. That's the presentation. Thank you very much. We'll look forward to some Q&A.
Okay, guys, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So, let's get kind of into it. So the first thing that kind of got my attention is, we've been hearing about, the carbon credit market, it's multi-billion-dollar market opportunity. There's, different levels of trading already starting to happen. I keep hearing that, different, all the different investment banks, whether it's, Goldman Sachs, whoever it is, they're all staffing up their, the carbon credit trading desks, right? So there's obviously money to be made here if these guys are doing this. Now, you showed 3 comps, companies that are in the space of monetizing carbon credits, and the market caps are ranging from 200 million, 400 million to, I think one of them was like $1 billion market cap. Now, do you know what kind of for comparison, like what kind of numbers are these guys doing? So just so we get a sense of valuations, like what kind of business are those companies doing?
Well, those companies are mostly focused on accumulating credits. So they're out there purchasing credits. A company like Carbon Streaming, I am not sure their latest financials, but I believe they have about $30 million in carbon credits under management. So they're probably getting a 4 or 5 times valuation on carbon credits. And again, what's important for us is we're not out there trying to accumulate carbon credits. Let all these other companies go around the world and find these projects and buy the credits. Then come and see us, and we'll mint them and make them liquid and create revenue for them.
Okay, so by the way, we have a great question. We're gonna have some audience questions. First one is, I don't think we address this. What is a carbon credit for anyone? We haven't talked about what is a carbon credit.
It's a great question. I think Adrian can answer it best. Our website also answers it in great detail, but I'll let Adrian take this one.
Yeah, for sure. So carbon credits is just an instrument to internalize, at its core, is an instrument to internalize the cost of emissions on the economy. So there's 2 different types of carbon credits, but at its core, it's just about attaching a monetary value to some sort of pollution so that something can be redeemed for companies that have to pollute. So there's 2 separate markets. There's a mandatory market and a voluntary market. The mandatory market, that's the one I think that gets a lot of play these days. It's like the cap and trade, it's called a lot, where a government says, okay, we're going to allow this amount of pollution, this number of credits. Companies can go buy those credits from the government. At the end of the year, the government takes a look at how much a company has emitted and how much, and says, okay, you have to supply this number of credits in order to make up for that, to offset.
So basically the system, I guess, it came about with this program essentially to, the idea is to reduce carbon pollution. And so we're going to essentially create an economic system. Whereas if you are a polluter, right? Let's say you're running a business or an industry where there is a level of pollution, and look, everybody pollutes, right? When you fly a plane, whatever it is, there's pollution involved, right? So you want to make it the people who are polluting will be paying a price for the pollution, and anybody who has a business that actually removes carbon, whether it's like alternative energy or whatever it is, these things, then they get a credit. They get actually a credit, right? They basically get paid essentially these credits. So in other words, if you're operating the windmills or solar, whatever it is, you're getting a bunch of carbon credits, right? Which you can then sell to an airline. Is that about right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that describes the voluntary space pretty well. So the mandatory space is more government run, like tick down the number of credits that they release every year to try to reduce pollution. On the voluntary space, that's exactly right. So somebody does something that either pulls carbon out of
mining
the air.
Companies, energy companies, oil companies. The list is huge. The mom and pop operation. The voluntary credits can be created almost anywhere, correct, Adrian?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of different systems that can create it. But in general, they sort of fall into the 2 buckets. If you avoid any emission, then a company can get a credit for that. And also, if you remove any carbon from the atmosphere, companies can get credits for that. So they get these assets that can be used, or that are a stake to say, like, okay, we saved this amount of carbon from the world. So companies that are emitting, as you said, they have the option to purchase these credits to offset their own emissions. So yeah, as Rand said, the airlines, the oil companies. Yeah.
Let's get into kind of the fun part, which I think is going to be a massive opportunity, which is I'm calling it like the retail carbon credit market, which is, the last couple of times, I booked a flight, I see, like on Expedia, whatever it is, it shows me the different flights, and each flight has like a number on it, like, carbon, something like a carbon emission for each flight. Like, and basically, like, one may have an 800, whatever, but you can basically see a menu of like each of these flights has emits a certain amount of carbon, which I guess the idea is for now. I mean, this is for now. This is, for now, I guess somebody might want to, choose the flight that's lower carbon, or you do have actually a lot of people, and this is for now, everything is kind of voluntary, for now. So, which is, they see, okay, well, I'm producing X amount of carbon credits. I need to offset, basically, I'm going to offset this by, now there are ways where people can, there's different systems where they could offset this, right? Or where they can pay for that carbon. There's like different systems now. Can they do this on, would they be able, let's say, for example, we have, Leonardo DiCaprio, right? So he's a big environmentalist, right? Of course, he flies. I think he's got his own private jet. He does a lot of flying. So he's generating a ton of carbon. Now, he's actually, I think he's a conscientious guy, right? So he has to basically buy, let's call it, 50 grand worth of carbon credits, or whatever, whatever the number is. Can he go on your system and buy these, the credits through your system, and he gets some NFT, he gets some sort of thing which, has, I don't know, we'll talk about some of the examples.
Yeah, absolutely. So he would be able to, I mean, he could go through the system, or he could go through the secondary markets that host the NFTs that have been onboarded, and he would be able to purchase those NFTs to offset his own emissions. And not only would he go and retire them, but also we have a users page. So you could go to Leonardo DiCaprio's page if you wanted to, or if he wanted to show it, and it would show all of the different companies and the artwork associated with the NFTs that he has taken out of circulation, that he has redeemed. So we think that there'll be a lot of interest from just regular consumers to show that they do care about the environment, and that they do care about it, specifically certain projects that are pulling the carbon out of the environment.
Okay. So the reality is, like, I mean, basically the kind of, we're seeing a lot of, concern about the environment, mostly from like, millennials, and millennials on down, I mean, are very, very concerned about it. I mean, I think a lot of people are concerned, but millennials on down are extremely concerned about the environment, to the point where you have, a lot of consumer brands or what have you. They have developed a very successful business based on, creating products that are more environmentally, let's say, conscientious. Like you have, what's that sneaker brand, Allbirds. You have, people are getting into the plant-based foods. There's all sorts of movements where you have billions of dollars that are going into different forms of consumer spending that are essentially ways of, reducing carbon pollution. And what you're doing essentially fits, I mean, it's directly, I mean, directly addresses carbon emissions. So give me an idea. Let's say, so one of the things you're going to be doing is you're minting these credits, and they're becoming NFTs, with, I guess, different images or what have you, or different, give me some examples.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're exactly right. The credit would be attached to some artwork, or some image that's sort of evocative of the
story.
The story of the project. So projects can really tell a great story about what they're doing, how they're helping the environment with this image that's associated with their credit, and that image follows that credit around wherever it goes.
Okay, so it's funny, like, before this we were talking about, when I first heard this, like, it didn't make sense. All of a sudden I'm seeing this, what do you call that, the Bored Ape NFTs, which are becoming, they're trading for millions of dollars. And I said, hey, because what you're doing is basically, you can call it like a farting ape, because but you're removing the carbon from the system. So this is basically what you could have. I mean, something along those lines. Let's talk about an important question I have. Which the first I think the first question I want to ask Ranjit, for example, most of our audience, what they're interested in knowing is they want to know, like, look, we've had a bunch of stocks that have had massive, we've had some massive increases in price. So what they want to know is what needs to happen for DeepMarkit to kind of become that next, 10-bagger stock, right? Like, because you have right now, what is it, 40 million shares outstanding?
Yeah, correct. Yes.
40 million. So the market cap is like, let's just call it
35 million
bucks.
US. Yeah.
Yeah. So $35 million US, right? So what needs to happen for you to become a 10x? So let's call it a $400 million market cap. Now you showed us some comps which are up there. So what needs to happen for First Carbon? What's the path for First Carbon to get to become a 10-bagger?
Well, different sectors need to do different things to get that 10-bagger. A drill company needs to hit a good intersection. A shoe company needs to sell lots of shoes. What do we need to do? We need to onboard carbon credits to our platform. We need to have companies who have millions of credits come to our platform, mint their token into an NFT, and then trade them in the open market. So if we use 25 million credits, we'll use that number. We think it's a conservative number in the next 6 to 12 months to onboard. And I believe some public announcements in the near future will get us close to that. So 25 million credits come to our platform. We mint, we get paid 10%. That's actually about $37 million in revenue right there based on a $15 carbon credit price. Remember, that $15 price is forecast to increase. So 25 million credits goes through our platform. We have 37 million in revenue, and that does not include the recurring revenue in perpetuity that follows it around. So now we'll look at that 37 million in revenue. 10 times that, which it's an easy number to use for valuation. It makes sense. And in our space, especially 10 times, we're at the $400 million number. And most of that revenue is profit. We're a platform. We're not labor intensive. So back again, how do we get to the 10-bagger? Step one, 25 million credits through our platform gets us there.
Okay. So how do you get these 25 million credits? Like how many, let's go through the metrics. Is it just for an idea, like is it
sure.
Typical company, that's a polluter or whatever, like how many credits,
we're talking to companies right now who have 500,000 credits, and we're working with companies who have 10 million credits. We're also working with aggregators who have 50 million credits. So we're all in discussions with them right now. Paperwork's flying back and forth. So we don't need to catch 1,000 small fish for dinner. There's some big clients out there, some big carbon credit holders out there, and those are the ones we're working with. But again, our platform, anybody can go there and use it, no matter how many credits they have.
Okay, I'm sorry. I actually said it backwards because basically the people who are going to your platform, they have the credits. So basically, they're the ones that are taking carbon out of the system. So they're removing the carbon from the system. So the people are buying. Okay, so essentially, you're talking to, I don't know. Give me some examples. Give me like 3 different examples of who are these customers that you have. Like you don't have to mention names, but like
manufacturing companies in South America, plantations in Southeast Asia, gold and nickel mining companies, lots of oil and gas companies. Those are a few. Adrian, would you like to add any to that list?
But those are the buyers of credit. I mean,
those are the ones who have already have verified credits. They went to the process of verifying their credits, and they're ready to come to us to mint. They are not the buyers. They have the credits in-house. They're like, what do we do with these now? Let's create an NFT, and we can show the world we are environmentally compliant. They can advertise it. If it's an airline, they can put up their picture of their NFT or whatnot, like you saw. But these people who come to us, they already have credits, and they need us to tokenize, mint, /create NFT.
Okay, so let me ask you an example. Okay, so look, you're in the blockchain space. This appeals to blockchain people. Anybody who makes money in crypto, the first thing they do is they got to buy that lime green Lamborghini or something else like that, right? So imagine if Lamborghini was owned by, I think, Volkswagen Group, right? And they're trying to be environmentally conscious, right? I think Rolls-Royce or one of those companies is putting out something where they're buying carbon. They're becoming very into I saw something where they're really getting into this. So So let's say every Lamborghini you buy comes with a. I mean, would they issue like a? Could they issue a token to show that they've reduced it? How would this work for them, for example?
Adrian will take this one.
Yeah. So they could theoretically go and purchase some of the offsets that have been minted by our customers, and they could give that along with the Lamborghini to the person who's purchased the Lamborghini to offset potentially the manufacturing process of that Lamborghini and maybe the first few miles of drive time.
Okay, so this is because this look there is what you're seeing is. You're definitely seeing people who are, they're into this. So essentially, it removes, I guess, to some degree, removes some guilt. But I think there's definitely going to be kind of the government is going to get more involved. There's going to be regulations, so it's not going to be a voluntary thing for too much longer. I don't think.
Well, Jack, you're speaking of the secondary market where the NFTs are already minted and people's consciousness or they want to be involved, or the sales team of Lamborghini want to say we have an NFT. Those NFTs could be NFTs that we've minted for clients, any client out there, and they're out there buying them. So it begins with people with carbon credits, as I mentioned, coming to our platform and creating NFTs. Then all these organizations can go out there and buy those NFTs. So it comes down to a little bit of business on the minting side. A company like Carbon Streaming, we'll use them as an example. They're aggregating carbon credits, going out there and paying $15 a credit out there in the open market from mining companies and plantations and mangrove forests, whatever it may be. What are they going to do with these carbon credits? They need to monetize them. They're a public company. They want to create some value and they want to really put them into the secondary market. We're not working with them yet, but companies like them who have these credits, they can come work with us, mint, tokenize, make an NFT, and then the secondary market can take over and buy those NFTs on an OpenSea platform or one of the other platforms. And that's where that step 2 of our revenue model kicks in, which is that recurring revenue forever.
Okay. So basically, excuse me. So if you get, let me go through the numbers. So the path to becoming a 10X, right? For the path to get to, let's say, $10 is you need to get 25 million carbon credits onto your platform.
Yes, we need to have 25 million carbon credits come to our platform and mint and create NFTs. And our revenue from that, which is mostly profit, would be about $37 million at today's carbon credit price. We get paid in carbon credits on the minting.
Okay.
We get 10%. So it would be $37 million in carbon credits at today's price.
Okay, so 37 million. Okay, now you mentioned you're talking to a bunch of different companies, ranging from a couple 100,000 to 10 million or 50 million as aggregators. Where like how far along are you right now? Like what stage is the company
in the sales cycle?
Okay.
Where are we in the sales cycle? We have teams in Alberta targeting the oil patch. I'm in Southeast Asia right now, meeting with our partners who have carbon credits, and we have some people in Mexico working. So where are we in the sales cycle? We're in the paperwork. We're in the position of get your credits verified, and they're getting them verified. We're working on commercial terms, and now that we're up in public, we can do all this as a public company for the benefit of our shareholders.
Okay, so in other words, like in terms of investors are going to want to follow along in terms of milestones to see like how, in terms of the main thing that people are interested in is the speed. How fast can you scale this, and how far can you scale it? So I think people are going to be watching in terms of, okay, what kind of deals are these guys signing, and how significant are these deals? So I think if you can hit a couple of these, some decent sized deals, pretty quickly, then people are going to get a sense that, okay, you know what, these guys can get these 25 million carbon credits. So what kind of milestones are ahead? Like when can we see some, something where are you going to be announced? What are you going to be? You're going to be announcing these, right? Publicly. You're going to be
100% will be announcing it. I want to be careful being a little too forward looking, but let's just say in the next quarter or less, there'll be some significant announcements if things go the way we want them to go, perhaps even sooner in the next few weeks. We're in the stage right now. Nothing needs to be announced because it's not we're not contractually bound to announce it until it's signed, but we're in the process of closing deals off as we speak, and some of the first few transactions are significant.
Okay. Let me ask you this. What else can you do besides, so you have, you're minting these NFTs from the carbon. Can you, do you see other like products
Revenue
that you can develop?
streams?
Yeah, other revenue
That's
streams.
a very good
What
question.
else? Yeah.
So we're just talking about that one minting aspect, and we're talking about 25 million credits, because that's just a nice number. Like, we hope we hit that number in 6 months, to be perfectly honest. That's one of our forecasts. But outside of that, as the NFT in the business has a lot of traceability, and maybe Adrian, you can talk about how else can we monetize what we're doing outside of what we just talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a few things in the works for adding some additional utility layers on top of the NFTs. Though I think in future we're looking to be able to bucket credits together, to be able to offer sort of like baskets of credits for those that are interested. And also, there's a gigantic amount of data that we think will be incredibly useful for the industry that we're going to be collecting. We end up with basically a registry for all projects on the blockchain that are onboarded to us, and we can tie that together with market data incredibly easily, because again, these secondary markets on the blockchain are all open. And we can provide that back to market participants who are wondering, are certain types of projects worth X, or are certain types of projects worth Y? And we can also provide it back to those who are looking to originate projects to get an understanding of how they'll do in the market.
Okay. Yeah, that's great, Adrian. Just one moment, Jack. So we keep talking about minting fee. That secondary market, those buyers, as you mentioned, Jack, the Lamborghinis, we want to come buy someone else's NFTs. We want to be that go-to place. If you want to buy an NFT in the carbon credit space, buy one of the credits which we've minted on. That's what we would like. We must expand that market. We must expand the platform and make some alliances with, let's just call them exchanges for now.
Okay, so Ranjit, I just noticed you mentioned that right before you turned over to Adrian for the question, you mentioned that this number, this 25 million carbon credits, you think you can get the next 6 months? You said potentially 6. You have a plan to get there in the next 6 months.
Internally, that's our goal.
Okay, so that's okay. So that's okay. So this is important, because basically
there's some big players out there holding a lot of carbon credits, and we have operations and people in all the right jurisdictions currently.
Okay, so this is
our discussions revolve around numbers like that currently.
Okay, so in other words, this is not something where people are gonna have to wait 3 years for this story to become a success and become a 10x. This could happen within 6 months. So there's a potential path to get to that 10x in the next 6 months with these 25 million credits.
We are definitely not an exploration company. It's going to happen much sooner than that. Yes.
Okay, so this is important. All right, so there's a clear path to get there. In terms of the competition, you mentioned you mentioned 3 public companies. You shared some comps. Is there anybody else in the space that's doing anything kind of similar?
That's a very good question. We get that a lot. Where else can somebody go with their carbon credit and turn it into an NFT? We offer some uniqueness to our platform, which I'll let Adrian expand upon.
Yeah, there are at least one large, or I guess medium large player in the crypto side. Not, publicly tradable. I think it's run by a DAO, but Toucan does something that is in this vein, where you can onboard credits, but you have to take your credit and extinguish it before you can put it onto that ecosystem. And you also don't have, it's not the same asset. So ours is an NFT. Theirs would be a regular token, an ERC20 token.
No. First mover advantage. Get all those carbon credit guys working with us. That's very key.
Okay.
Currently we have it.
No, this is pretty interesting. No, this is kind of like a really it's I think it's going to take I think it's going to take a little while for people to really understand exactly what you're doing, because quite frankly, it's sort of like it's a really almost a brand new industry. I mean, it's this really fits into this theme of it's almost like you should have, I don't know, this is like a typical almost Kathy Woods stock for ARK. This is disruptive innovation. I mean, it doesn't get any more any more disruptive or innovative than this. I mean, this is pretty incredible. Ranjit, so let me see. So you mentioned in the next 6 months you have a path to get to this 25 million credits, which potentially could be worth $400 million, so it'd be a 10 bagger. But beyond that, what do you see as the potential for First Carbon, for DeepMarkit? Where do you see this company in the next 2-3 years? What's the possibility here?
Well, I see as being the go-to vertical for all the carbon credit players in the world. We'll continue to create bolt-on tech. We'll continue to expand our footprint and be really the premier player to go. Like the premier stock exchange in the world is not us, but we want to be the equivalent in the minting of the carbon credit space. And we'll have all the correct validations, all the correct 5-star clients, and the numbers to support that.
Okay, and essentially, essentially what it's gonna follow this kind of this path where you're just signing up deals with different carbon the people who have the credits one by one. It's just gonna
where could this go? I could see it might not be a path we take, but I can see a group with say 50 million credits or 100 million credits or something saying, listen, we don't want to pay you 10% recurring. Let's just do a deal together, bring our companies together. We have all the credits in the world. You have the platform, the minting, NFT capability. Let's come together and take over. There could be discussions like that down the road, but in the meantime, we're just focused on really just establishing ourselves as that go-to platform for minting an NFT in the carbon credit space. Okay.
Ranjit, let's kind of recap here. So what are the milestones coming up over the next, let's just say 30 to 60 days that investors can keep an eye on to see, exactly, how far and how fast you're moving towards this goal of that 25 million credits?
Sure. All these milestones will come out by way of public information, public news releases. So I would look for some geographical expansion, like credits in Mexico, credits in Southeast Asia, credits in North America. I think we're going to see some of those coming online, some deals being signed and announced in, again, the coming weeks or months.
Okay. I want to ask you, and this is the last question, which we always ask
might be a tough one
on this program. Yeah, it is a bit of a tough one. So we ask this of all the CEOs, is in your opinion, what are the top 3 reasons right now why investors should consider DeepMarkit?
Well, just imagine being the first mover in $1 trillion space. It's kind of rare, and I think we are. It's $1 trillion sector, and we're definitely the first mover in the minting of the platform sector. Our team is established worldwide. We spent the last 6 months laying foundations, sourcing the credits, going through directories, really taking some of these companies through our platform, and now we're going to start to reap all those rewards. So $1 trillion sector, first mover advantage, and we structured the companies extremely well. The public company owns 100% of the assets. From the capital markets point of view, we're going to do all of that right, because you can run a great business, but if you mess up that other part, sometimes it doesn't jive, but we're putting it all together correctly.
Okay, excellent. On that note, I want to thank you, and we look forward to getting more updates from you in the coming weeks.
Bring us back as soon as we announce something significant.
Fantastic. Adrian, Ranjit, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.